AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. It's all birds, all the time.
How about that, Eagle?
And what's up, everybody? This is the AATBirds Inside Swoop. We're going to break down the NFC title game between the Commanders and the Eagles. A lot to talk about. Division rivals. One thing that I noticed today, this week is dragging. It is taking
it is only Wednesday.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I noticed, and it's like, let's hurry up. 3:00 Sunday. I need this to get here. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down here with this common opponent of the Eagles playing the Commanders for the third time. So it's going to be interesting. I know you had a quick little preview show with Rio from the Commanders side, talking a little bit about the game, going back and forth with him. So first thing I want to ask you here about this game and about this matchup is the confidence level. Is there any type of nervousness, any type of anxiety facing a Commanders team who you have to give them the respect because they've beaten the number one seed. They beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. They're kind of on fire right now in terms of the way that they're playing offensively. But any type of nervousness going in this game, anxiety type, like worrisome?
I mean, I think just from, being an Eagles fan and seeing the word NFC Championship, there were so many times where we kind of lost out to teams that we shouldn't have lost to. And I don't see that as the case this time. The Commanders beat a Lions team that we have talked about on this show. We're just decimated by injuries and had continued to be decimated by injuries. And that has to catch up with you at some point. And it did.
And they turned the ball over 4 times before the fifth turnover.
You turned the ball over 4 times. I mean, I just think that, the Commanders, and the phrase that is kind of being used a lot is they're playing with house money. They have literally nothing to lose. They should not be at this point of their rebuild already in the NFC Championship game. And good for them. But kind of like I told Rio, I called him Cinderfella. I said that the Cinderella story at some point is going to run out. And I just kind of feel that, the Eagles are still very healthy for the most part. We've kind of been in this position. There's still a hunger. They have the right mentality, the right leadership. You have an ability to run the ball and control the clock. You've got the best defense in the league. I just think that there's more going in the Eagles' advantage than even what the Lions had. So I do imagine it'll be a competitive game. You're playing a team for the third time, but I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but the second time we played, it was without Jalen Hurts and without CJ Gardner-Johnson. So this is a different matchup.
So would it have been – so say the Eagles were able to come out on top in that game in Washington. Would you be a little more nervous playing the Commanders for a third time, having beaten them twice? Or it would be kind of the same with what you're feeling now?
I think it would be kind of the same. Like, I keep saying I'm the one of the only people who really gave the Commanders their props very early on. I predicted them to be a playoff team. Got some looks, got some side eyes. But again, they had a lot of pieces in place. They picked a very, very stable coach. They got the best quarterback available. I mean, there's the command, and they got rid of Dan Snyder. So they got rid of the Schneider curse. I mean, I just think that the Commander, I don't really hate the Commanders like I hate the Giants and I hate the Cowboys. But this week I hate the Commanders.
Yeah, and I think, too, when you look at the matchup with them against Detroit last week, like Detroit made mistakes and the Commanders made them pay for it. And that's something that the Eagles weren't able to do when, the Commanders turned the ball over 5 times. The Eagles just weren't able to, put
Correct.
them away.
The offense was stagnant, yeah.
You had missed field goal. You had field goals instead of getting actual touchdowns. So you had too many missed opportunities. Now, of course, Jalen Hurts wasn't there, and then of course CJ gets thrown out at the end of the in the third quarter area. So you had a lot of things happen in there. But I just think when you look at, go ahead.
I'm not trying to be like your regular Eagles fans and making the excuses. The Eagles lost that game. There were clearly
They had the
reasons
opportunity
why.
to put them away, and they didn't.
Multiple opportunities, and there were clearly reasons why we lost that game. But there are clearly reasons why you have the ability to win this game moving forward. And, you asked me if there's anything that makes me nervous. Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels gets rid of the ball really quickly, which is the ultimate neutralizer against our defensive pass rush. Now without Nakobe Dean, I mean, if it starts going to the second level, that middle level is our weakness again without Nakobe Dean. Now, Zach Bond is amazing, and, he's a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, and in my humble opinion, should win it. He had a better season than Luke Kuechly when Luke Kuechly won the award. But it's still, if Jalen Carter does not get to Jaden Daniels, I think it could be a long day as far as our passing defense. And then it turns into a shootout, in which case the Eagles have got to control the clock and score every possession.
I think it comes down to, protecting the ball, not giving extra opportunities for Washington, because if you really look at Detroit,
Jalen Hurts getting rid of the ball.
Yeah. Listen, the Detroit Lions had 521 yards of total offense. They scored 31 points, and they turned the ball over 4 times. So,
that's what I'm saying.
They had 23 rushing attempts for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, they were running and gashing them. And that's something the Eagles can do. And it's just something that, listen, that's their bread and butter. Their bread and butter is that. Now, if they want to load the box, they may do that. But again, Eagles didn't have Dallas Goedert in Washington. They had Grant Calcaterra. And I know Calcaterra did step up and play admirably, played well. But listen, he wasn't. We're
finally seeing the difference, though. We're finally seeing that next level of thing. And look, when I talked to Rio, he even said, "Look, you guys are going to run the ball on us. That's what you guys are going to be able to do. Everybody runs the ball on us." He goes, "Put Saquon down for $150. It's going to happen." The bigger thing is that when we need to pass the ball, is Jalen Hurts going to be productive? Because we haven't really seen it this season. He is again a great leader, and I love Jalen Hurts, and I'm not denying it, but he is the weakness on this team offensively.
But also
hold on, let me back it up. As far as the passing game goes, he is an absolute threat with the ball in his hands. But as far as the passing game goes, it is a weakness.
Listen, I saw something the other day. I don't know if it wasn't today. It was the other day. Shannon Sharp talking about when he was in Denver with Terrell Davis in '98. Terrell Davis ran for 2,000 yards. They were going to run the ball. Stop TD. Why are we going to pass the ball if what we do best is running the ball?
Right.
And if you want to load up the box, well then, hey, we'll go to, and then in the '98 Broncos, you got Shannon Sharp, you got Ed McCaffrey, you have Rod Smith. So they had the opportunity to be able to spread the ball with some weapons on the outside with John Elway throwing it. Now John Elway was, in his later years, but listen, if you're able to run the ball, which what the Eagles are able to do, and that's what you do, then hey, you're not going to have 500, 600 yards of offense in the NFL. It just doesn't happen that way. The Eagles ran for 285 yards. You're not going to pass for 300 yards then. Like it's just not going to happen. So if the Eagles last 2 games against the Commanders this year, they've ran for over 200 yards. So if they're putting over 200 yards of offense and say they get around 170, 160, 170 in the pass game, to me, that's
all you need. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like this isn't like rocket science in terms of that. But again, the way I look at it, like Jaden Daniels has been playing very well, and it's something he should get his props. Like he's a rookie. I understand that, but
let's just rookie of the year, but for the rookie of the year should be an MVP candidate.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with, I understand with the MVP candidate, but the problem is the MVP it's at the end of the season. So it's going to be probably Lamar or Josh Allen. That's just what that is. But he is a candidate in the future, potentially, as long as he stay healthy. And, that's with any young player, but he showed able to elevate that team. They have guys like veterans in Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler, and they have receiver like Terry McLaurin. But the one thing that hopefully you can potentially be able to hone in on is their offensive line is not the best. Plus, they just lost Sam Cosmi.
Battered and bruised. Yep.
So they have a tackle moved into guard and Trent Scott playing, who, mind you, will be playing in front of Jalen Carter. So you have that. And then one thing is,
my concern is Jaden Daniels gets rid of the ball in under 4 seconds.
But the only thing too, also, is stopping the run game. It's the one thing you want to be able to do. And the Eagles have been pretty good against them with that. And the other thing is, when Jaden Daniels scrambles, it's over 85% of the time, it's over to the right-hand side. Mm-hmm. So that's big on the key to a guy like Nolan Smith and being able to contain his edge, not getting too far, being able to, corral him. And if he's going to run to the outside, make sure that there's bodies there, make sure that he's being contained, because you don't want to rush, especially the defensive tackles, because the defensive tackles, it's a big key with Milton Williams and Jalen Carter and Moro Ojomo, is not rushing too wide when you're rushing up the middle and giving an open lane in the middle for him to escape, because he did do that when we took a look at the when was the 4th and 11? I think it was 4th and 11 play. He got right up the middle, and of course he dodged a couple guys and he got the first down. It's like stuff like that. Like he's gonna make his plays, but you want to try to have him make a mistake or two and to be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah, I think that the Commanders have had a lot of success with Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's definitely playing higher than his pay grade right now, which is great. Terry McLaurin is finally having some success. Zach Ertz, with any young and rookie quarterback, the tight end is a key asset. We saw it with Zach Ertz and Carson Wentz, with Zach Ertz and Jalen Hurts. We've seen the impact of a tight end with a young quarterback. If you're able to isolate the run and shut it down, if you're able to keep a spy on Jaden Daniels and you make it one-dimensional and you make him hold on to the ball, I think that we have an ability to slow this offense down. Not to mention, I mean, like we said, he is still a rookie, and Vic Fangio is going to throw everything at him. And I kind of trust him to do that. I think that when it comes to quarterback play, I think Matt Stafford is a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels. I think that the weapons that we neutralized, as far as Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and all these guys, they were better than Terry McLaurin and company. I just think that it's going to turn into a shootout if the defense lets it, but the defense hasn't really let them do that all season. So
the one thing too you have to realize, and you got to be mindful of, is Washington loves to go for it on 4th down.
Yes, they do.
Now of course it depends on where they are on the field, but most likely or not, if they're in 4th and 3 or less, they're going to go for it. Now in the Thursday night game, the Eagles were able to stop them, I think, on a couple times. Turnover on downs on that, which was crucial and huge. And they were stopped against the Lions, and the turning point in that game was it was 7-3, and the Lions had the ball in basically close to the red zone, if not in the red zone, ready to go up at least 10-3, if not 14-3, and that's when Jared Goff fumbled the ball. And then they were down 17-14, throws the pick 6. So it's like stuff like that. The Eagles have to play turnover free. If you can't give extra opportunities to a team, and especially to a Commanders team with Jaden Daniels and the way that they've been playing, you don't want to give them the extra opportunities. You want to be able to control the ball and to be able to, make it your game, your type of game. And that's one thing. Like, I'm hoping at the end, late in the game, Eagles are up by 7 points with like 4 minutes to go, and they have the ball, and it's time to run the ball and try to get that clock run out. Don't put it in the hands of Jaden Daniels to be able to, go down the field and do what he has shown you that he can do. And it's just something that I would love to see. I'd love to see the Eagles be able to control that and end the game on that, or kick a field goal with like a minute or something left to put it up by 10 and stuff like that. But again, hopefully.
I think
The field goal thing is what really,
the Eagles have the ability to control the clock, and they need to be able to control the clock. I mean, if it turns into a shootout, I do think it favors the Commanders because then we have to switch to a passing offense, and that is not our strength. It just isn't. It wasn't in the Super Bowl year, and it's not now. Our strength is not in the passing game, so I'm hoping it doesn't turn into a shootout. I'm also hoping it doesn't turn into a situation of special teams because right now at this current point, I do not really trust Jake Elliott. He's kind of done what he needs to do a little bit, but in all honesty, he has not been anywhere near consistent enough where I can trust him to make a kick when necessary.
Yeah. And, the other news that, dropped today, they did open the practice window for Britton Covey, which I like because I'm kind of done with DeJean taking punts. Like, he's too crucial for your defense.
He's too crucial. I thought the same thing. And he took, the hit on Sunday. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, and the thing with, like, I understand he's in his days at Iowa, he was able to make some nice returns and stuff like that, but that's just not what he is. That's not what we need him for. That's what Britton Covey is for. And Britton Covey can break, a pretty decent return here and there. So, we'll see, with that, whether or not he does get activated. They did open the practice window, so we'll see with that. I do know, Brandon Graham, everyone was kind of asking about that. And, Nick Sirianni today said there's really no update. I'm not really sure you're going to get Brandon Graham back. The Super Bowl, it's to me, I think it's a super long shot to even get him back for that game, unfortunately. Which kind of
pretty cool if they did. I mean, the Commanders got back Jonathan Allen last week, and he had a pec injury.
Yeah, but triceps a little bit different, and depending on how bad it was.
Exactly.
So,
but I'm just saying, like, it is doable, and I do think that Brandon Graham is going to, do everything in his power to be back.
Yeah. So again, that's still the Eagles win. That's then 2 weeks away, so we got to see with that. But Quignon, did mention that, he did go out with a shoulder injury, which, kind of stunk seeing him go out there. But Isaiah Rodgers did play. I know he had a couple, contested catches that didn't go his way, but, he was still there. He had that great fumble recovery where he was there to scoop it up and, get in, wish they would have been able to score a touchdown during that drive, but he made a huge play. That was absolutely, monumental in that. So, I really like that he was able to step in for them and able to do that. But having Quignon back is going to be great because he's probably going to be following McLaurin around. So you want to try to, limit any big plays from Washington and make them kind of dink and dunk their way down the field and hopefully get a mistake or be able to get a tackle for loss. A lot of different things. And again, you also have to do this too is, Vic Fangio, this will be the third time his defense is playing Jaden Daniels. So the more familiarity, does that bode beneficial for Vic Fangio and, all his years? So that's just something as well as, he can go back and look at film and everything.
I think the playing them multiple times is always going to benefit the defense over the offense. The offense has to figure out new ways to be creative. And look, I mean, Jaden Daniels is having a lot of success, but I do still think that he is a rookie quarterback. So I kind of trust Vic Fangio to be able to throw different various things at him that are going to be unpredictable. Now, I don't know necessarily that he's going to make mistakes, but, once you eliminate Terry McLaurin, I'm not worried about Dynami Brown. I'm not worried about Olamide Zaccheaus. I'm not worried about Jamison Crowder. I'm not worried about these guys. I mean, I think that we've played significantly better.
The thing about it is you hone in on McLaurin, and if these other guys beat you, then, that is what it is because that's what you want to do. You want to make these guys beat you then. And the other thing too is it's, Aaron Glenn last week with the Detroit Lions plays a whole different style of defense than Vic Fangio. He blitzed a good number of times, which left some of his guys out on an island, and they missed some tackles. And again, they lost their nickel corner, Amik Robinson, early in the game to a broken arm. So he was gone. He was out. So they had a guy in there that played 2 snaps. Like they were so thin. Unfortunately,
they had nothing left by the time they got to that game.
It came to bite them. But again,
we said this back in August and September. We have the gift of having a depth in our secondary, right? So when Quinyon Mitchell went down, in my opinion, should be the defensive rookie of the year, except for the interceptions, which is why he's not going to get it.
It'll be Jared Verse, which it is.
Right.
He's had a hell of a season.
Isaiah Rodgers was able to step right in. If Cooper DeJean, had to step in. If Reed Blankenship is top tier. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay went out for a few plays. I mean, we just had this depth in the secondary, which we said it in August, we said it in September, is a gift, and now all the pieces are clicking. I mean, our secondary is stronger than their receiving room. Our secondary is stronger than their secondary. I mean, it's going to take a pretty significant effort by Jaden Daniels to beat this team.
Yeah, you're right there. And yet the other thing too is, like, when you take a look at this Eagles defense, and there were a couple plays in Sunday's matchup against the Los Angeles Rams, which will prove to come. It'll be something that Washington probably runs, and what that is like a screen game, because they have Austin Eckler. They'll do different things like that. But the way that the Eagles rally to the ball is so crucial in the way they play defense.
Led by Zach Bond.
Yeah, Zach Bond, and then Oren Burks had the one pretty big tackle as well. That's absolutely huge. And we'll see how they deploy their defense and how they structure it to stop Jaden Daniels and the Commanders offense, and try to basically what they want to do, especially with the Eagles in general, is they want to put the Commanders in a hole. They were able to do that in Washington. Yep. Now, unfortunately, Kenny Pickett had that early interception, which let them right back into the game there. But they were up 14-0 early. I just think, like, if you're able to get out in front, and the way the Eagles have been able to play early these last month, I would say, they've been scoring early, which is great. And if they're able to get out early on the Commanders, it may prove beneficial. Now, again, you have to make sure you got to play a whole game. You can't just play a couple quarters and expect to just the team to lay down. Commanders won't lay down. They're going to keep coming at it. But you have to try to, if you should say, score when you can, and then work drives and try to put points on the board and basically put them away.
Yeah, I mean, look, the game that we beat them on Thursday night, I mean, it was
10-6 going into the fourth.
It was a pretty convincing win up until the garbage time touchdown. The game that we lost, we missed out on opportunities, and I don't expect a fully healthy, unejected, non-concussed Philadelphia Eagles team to not capitalize on the team from the nation's capital.
In that Thursday game, I believe – in that Thursday game, I believe that Jalen had a slight concussion when the first tackle, when he hit his head, he got up and shook his head. To me, that's when I saw it right away. I'm like, that's definitely
he shook the cobwebs away. Absolutely.
And they were down 10-6 going into the fourth quarter, and then they had a couple touchdowns. They had a field goal and a couple touchdowns, and put the game away. It was 26-10 before the late, basically, touchdown with no time remaining, and then 2-point conversion. But listen, you just have to hone in, do what you do. And one thing that I saw today regarding, because I know all the coordinators spoke, Tim McManus put something out here. I don't know if I think it's one of his articles and stuff. And it was what Vic Fangio told his players, I guess, when he first came. It was, it's not your fault you don't work hard, but that's going to change now that I'm here. So it's indicative of the defense of last year, whether it was Asai and Matt Patricia and the way it was run, to then you bring him in. And of course, remember when he had left Miami, all the social media posts and how the Miami players were so happy he was gone now and all that kind of stuff and everything along the lines of that.
And Miami got smoked all season.
Yeah, Miami was not very good. And it showed that Vic Fangio is one hell of a yes, he's a no nonsense type of guy. He's going to tell you.
I mean, he's up for assistant coach of the year.
Yeah, and he's got a lot. I think the greatest thing too is he came to a team with the youngest defense in the NFL, and these are kids that he can mold. These are young men that are early in their career, and he's able to mold them, and they're able to get a player like Zach Bond and get these guys to play up to the level that I did not see it. I thought he'd be a good addition. I thought he would make the defense better. I didn't expect it to be this good, and it's fun to watch. So, and again, he's got a really tough task to go against Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury offense, who's been playing pretty damn well this postseason.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is very, very obvious that Vic Fangio has changed this team. For you to have guys like Jalix Hunt playing at the level he is, for you to have Nakobe Dean finally break out of his couple of years of roughness, to turn Zach Bond into a defensive player of the year candidate and front runner. I'm going to keep speaking into existence. There is nobody in my mind that should win the award over Zach Bond. And that's not being a homer. That is looking at straight up the numbers.
Being a realist, honestly.
Yeah.
To me, it's
I think not for nothing, but Saquon should win the offensive player of the year because he was the best offensive player in the year. Zach Bond should win defensive player of the year. Right? If you're not going to give Saquon the MVP award, at least do it right.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that. That's to me, that's what I would say. That's what I was like when I saw the finalists announced by the AP. I'm like, okay, I was a little surprised that Bond actually got Defensive Player of the Year consideration finalist. I was a little surprised because I just didn't think that they would give him that recognition. But I was wrong there. Maybe just so many people talking about it and realizing how good he's actually played. But I think also too, when you look at this defense and you look at Vic Fangio, he knows the buttons to press. So you can't doubt it. Like remember, they signed Devin White, and we're like, why isn't Devin White playing? Why isn't Devin White playing? Well, he was right. Because
I'm right. He wasn't good.
He wasn't a starter, and he didn't play special teams. So really, there wasn't any real reason to have him on the team. And you look at, Avonte Maddox, unfortunately, he started in the slot this year because Cooper DeJean had the injury in camp, so he wasn't fully up to speed. But once he was up to speed, he was inserted, and that worked out great. You look at Jalix Hunt. Unfortunately, a guy like Bryce Huff had no snaps on Sunday. And I don't know where they go from there.
Wait, hold on. We're forgetting. I apologize because when we covered the depth of the cornerback room, I forgot to mention that James Bradbury is still on this roster.
He's on IR. Yeah. Well,
the worst stub toe in history.
Yeah, unfortunately. It is what it is there. But this is going to bring us to our predictions. I'm not going to do any Ulecka lock because
there's nothing to lock.
Exactly. But we're going to go to the predictions. And I'm going to let you go and you start with your prediction for this game. And what you think this NFC Championship game is going to end up. And
I think it's going to be stressful. I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle. This is the third time these teams are playing. I do not imagine one team pulling away from others. I do have the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. I have them winning a very tightly contested game, 27-24.
Okay, 27-24. So I think it'd also be a close game. I just think, like I had mentioned earlier, my thing is this is how I kind of see it. Eagles are up 7 late in the game, 4 minutes or so left. The Commanders are going to use timeouts to try to stop them. The Eagles are going to be able to run the clock and run the ball and be able to close out the game where the Commanders aren't able to get the ball back. Right. I have the Eagles winning 27-20. It's going to be a close game. It's just, these teams, they're division opponents. And they're both in the title game. So they're both playing good football. They've got to this point because of that. So it's going to be a close game, but I do think the Eagles will be able to get that win, and they'll be waiting at night to see who they're going to play. And
do
maybe
we need to make a prediction about the AFC Championship as well?
We can do the AFC as well. So what do you
the
think
referees will defeat the
game?
Buffalo Bills. The referees will defeat the Buffalo Bills. They seem to continue to be under. No, I do think the Bills should win. They're the more physical team. I don't understand how Mac Hollins is such a stud for the Buffalo Bills. But at some point, the Chiefs' luck has to run out, right? At some point, they got to call it the other way, right? So I'm going to go with a 28-27 Bills victory.
So, unfortunately, I'd like to see the Bills win. I just think the Chiefs wind up coming away and winning the game. And I have a 24-21. Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl again.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The Lord.
That is what it is there, unfortunately. I'd like to see it the other way around, but it's just how I see it playing out. So it is what it is when it comes to that. But, we'll see. So hopefully the Eagles get a big-time win. It's only Wednesday. We got a couple more days here. It's agonizing, but
luckily we're the first game. We're not the second game. I can rock with that.
Yeah. Listen, I know that is good. 3:00 on Sunday. Hopefully we will be Sunday night at the nightcap to celebrate the Eagles' victory and to
after the
break
AFC
down.
Championship. Come on now.
What?
We're not doing a show Sunday night after the AFC Championship. Because either we're going to be elated or homicidal.
Yeah, I know. Time will tell. We'll figure out what to do there. But
all right.
With that, as we always do, go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.